Hi everyone. So, in about a week, maybe two, the final production of Black Rose Cocoon will start. So, like I said, late February release, maybe early March, depending on how things go. Um, but I was thinking a lot about the order of projects I'm gonna do afterwards. And as some of you know, I had a project called Red Widow Waltz that I wanted to do. And I was going to do it right after Black Rose Cocoon because in the same world, meaning Halberton. But the problem is that I put in so much visceral emotion in Black Rose Cocoon that it took a lot out of me. And I was in the right headspace to do so. And since Red Widow Waltz isn't exactly a continuation of that, but it is still in the same concept of not just visceral emotion, but really allowing myself to open the floodgates of, I guess, damage to ourselves through the repression of trauma. And it's very different for every person. Not everyone uh, deals with trauma and pain in the same way. And I tried really hard to exemplify that as best as I could in Black Rose Cocoon. But with Red Widow Waltz, it's it's more like I'm taking off the layer of crime and thriller and going deeply into just the psychological part of being a human being in terms of like okay, in Black Rose Cocoon, it was more about how crime affects society in different ways. But now it's like now that that part is over, all that's left is how the traumatic experience affected those people. What it left in them. And that means internal scars that would take a very long time to be able to increase the size of life around that scar. And in order for that to happen, each person has to be able to find their own process and vice to eventually get through that pain. And Red Widow Waltz is not just about, repairing yourself. It's a lot more layered than that. It's kind of like someone in a position of power, especially a government, very seedy and not really good intentioned, took someone's pain and decided to weaponize it. That is basically the premise of Red Widow Waltz, where a seedy government followed a certain number of adults and discover that they have certain abilities, kind of like in Stranger Things, but with adults. So instead of children having psionic abilities, it would be adults having certain abilities, and because some of their abilities is activated like 11 through emotion, they're capitalizing on that psychology to weaponize them against whatever forces, be it magical or not, in the city of Halberton. And in order for me to do something like that, I have to be in the right mindset and be okay with really exploring psychological damage through trauma. I touched on that and I certainly explored it in Black Rose Cocoon, but I was so focused on rewriting the genre of crime novels that although the emotions are strong and are there, I don't really focus on each main character's pain because that comes later. That's at the very end where they've been through the whole thing. And it would just take too long for me to pause, go, okay, the event is over. Now let's see how the people are doing. I don't want to do that. That would take forever. and it would just be long-winded. It would have to be another book. And so I decided that Red Widow Waltz wouldn't be exactly a follow-up to what these characters went through. It would be a whole new set of characters in the same world with certain aspects or elements of the world that I created that would kind of merge both worlds without overlapping them. So that's why I decided to do my trilogy, I guess. I don't know how many books I'm going to do for Zavutra, but I wanted to do that first because I'm just not ready to get that crazy, I guess, for Red Widow Waltz, because I have to be in a certain mindset to write that book, and it's just not right now. And it works anyway, because Red Widow Waltz takes like 30, 40 years into the future after Black Rose Cocoon, and not as a continuation of those people, but just that place in that timeline. And Zafutra will actually help me with that because Zafutra isn't just some high fantasy, brother sister adventure story, which is what I originally planned, but it's also kind of like a premonition of where the world comes to in our world or Albertan world when Red Widow Waltz comes to play. So that's why I'm not doing that right now, because listen to this, okay? I just doodled on my phone, and this is how I know that I'm not ready, because it seems very bleh. It might seem nice, great to other people, but for me, it's like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. So just listen to these two ideas I just doodled. So this is a pre-blurb opening line idea, meaning before chapter 1. Every crutch we use numbs us into a dream we don't understand, yet nestle in its dreamy, creamy, yet acidic nature. Sometimes the crutch has to be there for death to knock it off us, so we fall flat on our face as the black blood leaves us in a mad rush, letting out the horrors we run through. Hope and love may not be there to greet us, but pain will be more tolerable. Now, that's not bad. I like it, but it's too wordy. So, well, that's just how my brain works. But I know that it's just me going, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but I have to try something. And I'll leave it on the back burner for years, probably. Anyway, now here's what I tried several times, actually, for an opening paragraph for chapter 1. Here we go. As I stare into the polluted golden horizon through the small window in my shower, I inhale the fading coconut and lavender smell of my shampoo. The warmth of the water had left my pruning hands and feet long ago, but the red spider has not let go. Yet I turn off the water and draw back the curtain, knowing it's still there. I know someone has been taking pictures of me, but I don't care. Now see, that's kind of the ambiance I'm going for, but when I picture Red Widow Waltz, I picture something a lot more kind of like a complicated spider web. There are certain tarantulas. I did a bit of research. Um, the more defensive and burly tarantulas create a very thick nest so that they can hide, and the ones who go on the offense and have very venomous and long fangs are very defensive, but it's not as an offense. It's just a aggressive defense, and that's kind of what I'm going for. Is that before these people become, um, before they go through the shit that the city government's gonna put them through to see how they can weaponize them, they're gonna hide, or they're gonna be forced to hide into this nest, I guess, and be messed with and tested, blah blah blah, and all that stuff. But it's gonna be it's too soon. It's just too soon for me to work on that right now. So just thought I'd share it with you. I know this was a rather long video, but it's just something that's been kind of preoccupying my mind as I start a new job, and really thinking about life decisions. I've been thinking a lot about my life decision right now because after leaving that job, my mind became clear. It's time to move on. What I'm moving on to, I don't know, but I know that whatever decision I make, it's gonna be clear. Anyway, hope you guys had a good holiday and talk soon.